All right, everyone, you remember when birtherism was birthed by the Clinton campaign and then Trump quickly took it up and became sort of the poster boy for birtherism? People are now saying Girtherism is the new big thing for the modern generation, for the true me generation as Gen Z begins to develop young adulthood and the millennials move on towards middle age. The new thing is Girtherism! And it's like the funniest shit that I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. What's happening, Too Late Didn't Read for anyone living under a rock, because otherwise you can't... I mean, if you're on the internet, if you're watching this video, chances are you know what I'm talking about, but in the off chance you're like that one person that you've been in a coma for a few days, you've had that super flu and you weren't able to type because you were too weak. Basically, Trump gets his medical exam from the White House doctor. The White House doctor says, yeah, he's 230 something, and he is 6'3", actually. He's a tall dude. He's an inch taller than me. He's a big dude. He's not exactly thin, but he's not like morbidly obese, I guess. He's under that threshold. He's healthy. He's mentally stable. He got a perfect score on the "Hey, do you have dementia?" exam. And this was administered, and Trump's just fine. Which sort of decapitates the arguments made by his enemies, and also they're science deniers because this is a legit medical professional who did the exam. Also, by the way, I wonder if people realize this, but Dr. Ronnie there, he actually was there since, I think, 2013, so he's an Obama-era doctor. He's not like Trump didn't install his personal doctor in there, who then basically signs a piece of paper after looking at Trump for 10 seconds saying, yeah, you're healthy. Don't worry, and I'll just, I guess you're about 230 something. I guess you're really 6'3". You don't need to take off your shoes, don't worry. No heart problems, no lung problems, fine diet, too much McDonald's maybe, but, you're fine. Okay, here you go, show this to the American people. That's what a lot of people thought happened because they couldn't believe that Trump, after all the propaganda about Trump being demented or crazy and psychopathic or Trump being morbidly obese, unhealthy, he scarfs down McDonald's and fucking Diet Coke and never gets enough exercise. After all of that propaganda, so many people have come to believe it. They passively have begun to accept the lines of the media. If they really hate Trump, if they're part of that like third of the U.S. who could never support him no matter what he did, he could literally cure cancer, and they would say that it was a slap at the pharma industry at this point. I'm actually convinced that would happen. They've begun to believe that propaganda so much that they're not willing to believe a totally unbiased White House doctor who also gave Obama his medical exam, said, yeah, Obama's fine, when he says that Trump isn't falling apart or demented. But Trump's clearly not demented. Look back at the last 10 years, he's always had weird speech patterns when he goes off script. He's always had the bombast. And he's an energetic dude. Look at the schedule that he maintained during the presidential election. Look at the schedule. For someone pushing 70 and who supposedly is in terrible shape because he eats nothing but McDonald's, yeah, if he's bouncing around and constantly in motion, he probably does need more calories than the average person. And he's not a thin dude. I mean, he's still an older dude. He's still 70 now. Being in great shape for a 70-year-old, what does that mean? Being in, okay shape for maybe someone who's 50. That's what it ultimately means. No one's saying that he's the pinnacle of the Olympian ideal. Least of all, the White House doctor. What he's saying is his opponents are full of shit when they call him demented, because he's clearly not. His opponents are full of shit when they say that he's horribly, horribly out of shape. He's okay for his age. By the way, how many people hit 70 without having a little bit of extra weight? Unless they're withering away from some other disorder. Most people do. They have a little bit of extra weight until they get to the point where they're dying, then they rapidly lose it and then die. When people trot out the Trump is demented thing, and then, what it is they're stroking their own mentality. They're stroking their ego and wishing that they had the medical chops necessary to diagnose him. Meanwhile, you've got a properly administered Alzheimer's test saying, no, Trump's not demented at all, he's perfectly fine, probably for his age, higher functioning than normal. Part of that, this is something that I've said for some time. I think that Trump is almost a little bit too verbally intelligent, and that his mouth goes faster than his brain sometimes, and he accidentally loses track of where he was going. Like, he goes off into a rant. I have this problem. Doesn't mean I'm demented. It doesn't mean that I'm a psychopath. It means, hey, I happen to have a high degree of verbal acuity, as opposed to maybe math where, I suck at math, honestly. I got as high as pre-calc and did really well there, but yeah, don't ask me to do your math homework. It's not going to happen. You wouldn't like the result. You'd probably do better. Even if you're like, at this point, probably have forgotten most of it. So I'll stick to being highly verbal and not mathematically inclined, and that's fine with me. Trump has a high-functioning mentality. So sometimes his words run away with his mind, or his mind with his words, whichever the case may be. We're not exactly sure. And he is a gaffe master at times. He says weird shit sometimes, but, so do other people. Are you saying Joe Biden, by virtue of being totally off-kilter, is he demented too? Nobody said that about him. Nobody thought it was demented when Obama suggested it was a good idea to bomb Assad's forces over in Syria. I would say that's much more of a marker of someone whose mind is gone than the things that Trump has suggested. The thing is this. Here's the fundamental takeaway. If a person believes Trump is a horrible, bigoted, demented, evil hack because they believe the constant stream of propaganda coming from the media, which is basically casts him as an irredeemable, one-dimensional figure. It's straight out of Propaganda 101, folks. I'm telling you that absolutely. It's perfect propaganda. It's exactly what you would expect if there was a collective effort to denigrate his popularity cross-platform, like multiple groups working in tandem, taking marching orders. Oh, I don't know, from the DNC that paid these groups during the election? Maybe that's what's happening. I wonder. Could it be that WikiLeaks isn't full of shit because, they're just whistleblowers? You either believe that, or you don't. And your mind probably isn't going to change based on a medical report. People who are still sane are going to look at this like they may say, okay, well, I don't support Trump, like he's crazy or out there. But they'll believe the medical report. More often, though, people that don't like him, they're just going to deny it. They're going to say, oh, he paid the doctor, or, some other bullshit. A lot of people, though, with the Girtherism thing specifically, they're saying they don't believe Trump's really 239 or whatever weight it was. Judging from what I'm seeing just in photographs, it looks like it would be about appropriate. For someone of that height, it's overweight, certainly. But it's not morbidly obese. It's not like, he's not 400 pounds of lard. Meanwhile, it's very funny to see because this is all coming from the same people who say if you fat shame, you're a horrible person. You should have, your fingers cut off and be censored and be kicked off every online platform. The same people that will say, hey, if it's your bones are big, or, if you say someone's 500 pounds and that's not healthy, you're an evil, despicable person, like the Tumblrites. They're meanwhile saying, oh, haha, Trump is so fat, lol, he's so out of shape. That's hypocrisy, dude. You do realize you're being hypocrites. Anyone can see. I think even some people on the left at this point can see that. But Girtherism is very funny. Because here you have literal science denial. The medical science behind Trump being reasonably healthy and not demented is being openly denied by people who happen to have an ideological axe to grind against Trump. Well, so you are better than an actual medical professional who actually examined him. You know more than he does. You've never examined Trump. Most of you don't have, a PhD in medicine, number one. So 99% of you are immediately discluded from having a valid opinion based on your own understanding of maybe climate science or something. So there goes 99% of you. For those of you who are doctors, have you ever examined him? Have you actually spoken to him in person, got him into a room, and you say, okay, take off your pants, check your pulse, you stand on the scale, I'm going to administer the dementia test, and your eye check or whatever. You've never done that. You don't fucking have a clue. You've never met Trump. You've never talked to him. How would you know? You see what you see on the news and on TV. You see secondhand write-ups of him, or you see speeches that he's made. That's all you see. Half the time that's taken out of context. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, I'm going to trust the medical doctor. It's just like when the doctor came out and said, yeah, Obama's fine and healthy. Who doubted it? It was very funny. So you can go ahead and keep discussing. I hope the left realizes, the anti-Trump people realize how fucking dumb they look. To any unbiased observer, you don't have to be a Trump fan. I am sure there are millions of centrists out there looking at this and they're like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, Trump's portly. He's also fucking 70 years old. No shit, he's probably going to have a little extra weight. Now, funnily enough, it seems that his weight hasn't changed despite the fact of his daily McDonald's diet. If you can maintain that, he must be burning a hell of a lot of calories. It's not just golf that's doing that. He must be constantly bouncing around. Otherwise, he would be obese. So I don't know what his physical routine is like. It must be fairly strenuous. Now, during the campaign, it looked like he lost 10 pounds by the end of the presidential campaign. You know, even though he was having the double Big Mac aboard his gold-plated private jet. It looked like he actually lost weight over that period because he was constantly going to rallies, constantly walking around, even just on stage, pacing back and forth. He probably walked a good mile every time he held a rally. Meanwhile, people thought it was horrible and despicable if you decided, hey, Hillary Clinton might have something wrong with her despite video of her collapsing into a fucking van like a sack of potatoes and not wanting to answer what the hell was wrong for 2 days. That's a conspiracy theory. The medical professionals are beyond reproach. They say that Hillary's fine. You know, if you question Hillary Clinton's sanity and competency, you're an evil, despicable sexist. But we can question it about Trump because he's not female and doesn't have a D after his name. Do you fucking understand how stupid that looks? No, they don't. They're just bitter hack partisans who will, they're never going to give Trump an honest chance. They never were going to give Trump an honest chance. And those few that did, they've been taken in so much by propaganda, they actually think he's demented. Yeah, people around Trump wouldn't have noticed that fact and said, something might be terribly wrong here. Maybe Pence should get involved. It's not going to happen, dude. Your impeachment hopes have faded away to virtually nothing. Enjoy the Mueller investigation. I'm sure that Bannon's testimony is going to be so earth-shattering. No, it's probably not. But, you know, they're getting a big dick about that, too. You know, a taffy twanger, as the alt-left typically gets. That's about all. Peace out.